I got to be honest with you. I have the luckiest job in the world because I get to meet some of the most fascinating, interesting, and successful people, and I get to bring them onto the Ripple Effect podcast for you. That is the case with this one connection that I have, I'll say, fostered, cultivated over the course of the last 10 plus years. I met Randi Zucker through another avenue that she was pursuing professionally many years ago. We just struck up kind of this online friendship. We've never met in person. We've never actually been on a Zoom, which is sort of surprising. But I stay in contact with her through social media. She stays in contact with me. And we have always been like this kind of pseudo supporter for one another. And so when our schedules aligned and she finally agreed to be a part of the Ripple Effect podcast, it was like the ripple came home finally. It was like a full circle moment for me because I have been so anxious to have this amazing entrepreneur on. Randi Zucker, along with her husband, have built let's just call it a real estate empire. You call it what it is, right? She has done an amazing job building a very unique approach to building wealth and creating opportunity through real estate investment. They have a very unique approach to how and what they've gone to do in the marketplace. And that has seen them not only build a nice little nest egg for themselves and their business in residential, but they have expanded out into other commercial avenues, including now owning 3 different boutique hotels. She is a hustler. She is someone that knows what to do to get things done, and she is not afraid of the hard work that is necessary to make it happen. I can't begin to tell you how excited I am to have her on the Ripple Effect podcast. Enough talking. Let's get into the rippling with Randi Zucker. Randi, welcome to the Ripple Effect podcast. How are you doing?
I'm doing great today. How are you on this Friday the 13th?
Yeah, we picked a real good day for this, right? Yeah, I love it. I'm doing great. Life is good and busy, and I can't believe we're already close to the end of the year. By the time this comes out, it'll be in January, but we'll have gone through the holidays and all the craziness. But are you ready for what's about to come over the next few weeks?
Yeah, so what's funny? I work over the holidays because I find that everybody is on vacation. And that's when I look up properties that maybe have been on the market for a while or they just get listed. And that's when you can just swoop right in and make your offers. We've done that every single year for years now. It works like a charm.
Oh, that's awesome. What a great strategy. I love that. I said in your introduction, I don't know if you even know this, but you know how long we've actually known each other purely on kind of social? You were back at Gen Connect back when we first connected in 2010. And I was mentioning in your intro that we've never actually done a video call. We've never Zoomed, but we've, always had sort of this interaction via Twitter and other social platforms. And I'm just so grateful that we could bring this full circle and finally get you on the show.
And see how that works. We've been in each other's network for so many years, and now something has happened as a result of it.
Absolutely. Well, so by way of just introducing you to our audience, give us a little bit of your background, because I know you are a badass entrepreneur, and I'm so excited to learn more about the book and the work that you're doing today. But maybe give us just a little sense of your entrepreneurial journey, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so it's funny, today I'm in real estate investment solely. That's my bread and butter. But my background was really in internet marketing, web development, e-commerce. I worked with a number of startups and very well-known people like yourself. I also did work for Mo Vaughn of the Boston Red Sox, Whoopi Goldberg of The View. And really, I had such amazing mentors. As a result of that, I learned so much from Mo Vaughn. He always said preparation is the key to success.
Yep.
So I was very fortunate that I got to have these amazing relationships, and I was helping them build up their website presence. I was really good with web design and user experience and helping to train teams. I had interns at one point that were double my age. But as time grew, and as I was starting a family, we were flipping houses on the side. It was a side hustle for me and my husband during all of these years when I was in web development. I've been flipping
Yep.
houses for the last 15 years. That really started to become more of a passion for me. And I also was starting to see that I could set up my family for success following that career path versus the career path that I was currently taking.
Yeah. Uh, what was it about real estate that really piqued your interest? Well, I mean, you guys were doing it as a side hustle, so was there something that sort of encouraged you to try that initially, and then all of a sudden you could like figure out, hey, I can make a full time living out of this?
Yeah, my son was diagnosed with autism
Oh,
uh, 5 years ago, and that made me really have to focus on a family plan where I was setting my children up for success, not just now, but
yeah,
trying to envision what my child might grow up to be, and that
sure.
I might have to be responsible for setting him up and setting my other child up for success and be taken care of. So that really made me focus on how should I be spending my time, what's going to make the greatest impact, and what do I enjoy doing? And that's really how my husband and I both decided to focus full throttle. We were made a great team personally and professionally. So now we work together in real estate investing. And today, fast forward, it's been 12 years. We've flipped over 100 homes. We own 3 hotels, and we have a portfolio of real estate investments, a network wide of investors, of real estate brokers, of contractors, of property managers that we work with, and we really developed a thriving career from this. And I will be able to say I'm going to leave my family with legacy wealth.
I love that. Is the approach that you take today vastly different from when you guys started, or and just on a larger scale, or what have you learned that you apply now that has really kind of 10x the business?
Yeah, a couple of things. So I love the idea of the ripple effect because just like throwing that stone and seeing the ripple.
Yep.
So I can give you an example. So today we're being presented with this huge disposition of about 200 single family houses that we would have to buy as a package deal in order to win
Oh
this
wow.
bid.
Okay.
We would never have been able to purchase that kind of portfolio when we first started out. Even if we had the money to do it, let's just say we did
Yeah.
have the money to do it, we would not have had all the teams available. We wouldn't know what we were doing. So really, all of the problems that we had encountered over the years have made us way better equipped to take on basically like any challenge now doesn't phase us, and we've become really excellent problem solvers, and the having the right people connections to be able to now take on big projects.
You don't run from them. Now you're looking for them, right? Yeah, that's awesome. Well,
I
I'm curious, from my own perspective, like how does a deal like that come together? I think for the average listener who is trying to think like, well, wow, you go from like flipping homes to now, you're pulling in this package deal of 200 plus homes. How does something like that work? Like, is this like, give us a little sense of what that kind of deal looks like in terms of the approach and how it came about. And then, how do you frame that for your own business?
Yeah, and it's funny, it is like serendipitous. It's a lot to do with your network,
Yep.
and putting yourself in those situations and expressing what you do and what your goals are and what you're able to achieve. So every introduction is important. So when we go to conferences, or if I'm speaking to you, telling people who you're looking for, what you're able to achieve. And really, this started, an old college buddy has now been following us on social media, and gave us a call, and they wanted us to invest in a business that wasn't necessarily the right fit for us, but we told
Yeah.
them what we were doing. And so it's okay to say no to people too if they're asking you for something, but
Yep.
then be very clear and direct of what you're doing. And then he was like, "Well, I have a great guy that works at a bank. You should talk to him." And we've been, we built up this relationship with him, and now when he has a large portfolio that's not, performing well for the banks. They want to try to take it off of their books.
Sure,
So we're
sure.
the first people that he'll call to present it to. Um, and also just once you do a deal and you build trust with somebody, so if you are interested in getting into like the real estate business or any business, and you meet somebody who can help open the door for you, you do have to perform. So if
Yeah,
somebody is offering me like a house and I say I'm going to buy this house from you, you better get to that closing table, or
yeah.
that relationship is done. And you really have to, cultivate those relationships.
I love that. I mean, that is, I think, really insightful for people to really recognize. I love your framework of, hey, there's no bad introduction, right? Everything could potentially lead to an opportunity. And so many people kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater when they're meeting people and not recognizing, hey, it may not be an immediate, obvious opportunity today, but look where it might go in the future. I mean, you and I are kind of case in point of that, how we're on this call and how it took 14 years for it to actually happen. But things do have a way of working out if you stick with it and you're committed to, putting in your part for, increasing the odds of the perfect timing coming, right?
Yeah.
I love that perspective. We have a lot of entrepreneurs that tune into this podcast just because of the wide variety of folks that I kind of expose them to. And I know there are a lot of people that are actually looking at, hey, either starting something separate or maybe leaving corporate America and deciding, hey, I want to go out and do something. Real estate provides kind of a very unique vehicle to do that. Can you give our audience some sense of, I for one think it would be super complicated, and it may not necessarily be as complicated as I make it out into my own head, but give us a sense of how someone might get started in that business and is it as intimidating as it seems?
Yeah, that's fun. So my husband and I, we started a program called 10-Minute Mogul. So what we've done is broken down getting into the real estate investment business into 10-minute increments. So things that you could start doing 10 minutes a day if
Yep.
you are interested. So I mean, I did start this as a side hustle. So I think one of the first things I would do is go onto Zillow, and I would first stay close in your own backyard
Sure.
and look up sold properties within a price range that you would kind of be comfortable to spend as your first investment, and find the agents, the listing agent and the selling agent, and start calling up these people and tell them what markets you're interested in. Tell them you want, a fixer upper, 2-bedroom condo. Ask them to get on their list, get
Yep.
under their radar, build those relationships first with the agents. I would also even Google wholesalers. I don't know if people know what wholesaling means, but
Yep.
but these are people who usually buy. It's usually distressed properties. There's usually a story behind it.
Yep.
But you could literally Google them or join Facebook groups, and also start making those calls. Get on these people's lists, and don't be afraid to ask a lot of questions. There's no stupid questions
Yep.
that you can ask these people. And once you start getting on these lists, I would just open your email box every day for 10 minutes a day. And you'll start understanding the market. And then when you see something that looks underpriced, you will kind of, now have a sense after you've been studying the
Yeah.
market to see that something is a good deal.
I love that. In preparation for today's conversation, I was actually having some beers with some guys last night and was talking to one of them who has a really good friend from college that has, he said, completely transformed his entire career looking at real estate opportunities. And he said, it's amazing to see this guy that was punching a clock for so many years, hated his job, got into this, was dabbling just a little bit, had some success flipping a home, then, turned that profit into down payment for the next, and then it just kind of snowballed from there. And it was ironic because he said that he had just literally talked to this guy about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and he said he had about 20 properties in play and he said, I'm busier than I've ever been, but I'm happier because I control my day and I do things in the way that I want to do them. And he said he was like, Steve, this guy is just a high stress, really, he's a go-getter, but he's always like stressed out all the time. And he's always, was always wigging out over something. And he said, I've never seen him so calm and so, confident in what he's doing and how he's doing it. And he said, he's truly happy. So
Yeah.
I think that's it's a testament to what you're talking about. That type of business, once you get an understanding of how you can sort of craft that to make it work for you, there's, the sky's the limit, right?
Yeah, I like to think that I have like the best career in the world, but also the worst job. Um, because because when you become an entrepreneur or you're at the top of something, you're really just the go-to person that people turn to for their problems.
Sure.
So you're the problem solver all day long. And that used to really stress me out as I was
Yeah.
growing. When I opened my when I opened my second hotel, it was bigger than the first one I had, and there were so many problems every single day. Like the guest didn't pay, this toilet just broke, like so many little problems that I had to keep facing, and it was
Sure.
starting to really affect me personally and professionally. And then I thought to myself, "Hey, we're hitting these problems because I just took a leap in my business. These are new challenges that we haven't faced because I'm
Yeah.
growing."
Yeah.
And that mindset shift really changed my whole outlook and kept me really positive. And then once we also have these problems, we're constantly updating our playbooks. So my teams get better trained. We become more proactive and not reactive. So problems are a great thing, but you do become like the go-to problem solver all day long.
I love that. How is it that you moved from the types of properties you were investing into to focus on purchasing three hotels and redoing them and now
Yeah,
running them? You're a mogul now, right?
yeah.
With
Thank
three?
you. That's a really great question. I love flipping properties, but we weren't holding them. We were just, buying them, fixing them, selling them.
Okay.
And I had to do that because I needed, the cash flow. But it's not a passive income whatsoever. I only see the money hit my bank account after I sell it,
Yeah.
and then it's like it's gone again. So we were looking also for more passive investments. So once you kind of move into multifamily and you start holding it, or you move into hotels and you start holding them for 3 to 5 years, like you start to have a little more of a passive
Yeah.
monthly income coming in, and you don't have to rely on that next flip.
What's the best part of being in the hotel space?
The best part is you get to see guests enjoy your hard work, which is so awesome. And
Yep.
you're there to provide them some of the happiest moments. Like, people might save up for a year or 2 years to take that vacation, and I'm providing that home for them. It's such a rewarding experience when I see the reviews come in or I see photos of people vacationing at my properties.
I love that. Yeah, and I think it, and I've had an opportunity to speak at different associations for that space, and it's really interesting to get people to switch their mindset from this is a transaction, a relationship business. If you do a great job and you make that experience phenomenal, not only the next time do they come when they come to that town are they going to stay there, but they will tell everybody about it, especially now with social media and being able to put things on Instagram or TikTok. I mean, the potential for exposure is so much different than it maybe was even 10 years ago, right? But it's all about creating that relationship experience for the guest and doing it in a way that encourages them to, not only realize how different this is from, any place else they stayed, but at the same time, have that motivation to want to come back and have that experience over and over and over again.
Yeah, my heart melts when I get a repeat visitor.
I
And we
love
give out
that.
discount codes and incentives too to get them to come back. But that's the best feeling in the world.
So I know my audience will be curious, but can you give us, sort of an idea of the hotels, where they are, and then I assume probably made them a little bit different experience with each of them.
Yeah, yeah. So I have one in Singer Island, which is Palm Beach, Florida,
Okay.
and it's right off the beach. So you want to keep in mind your location and who you're trying to attract. So it's more of a family friendly, calm, serene beach environment. And you want to have amenities that also support that. So, like, we give away beach balls and water bottles so people could bring to the beach. We have coolers, so amenities are important and it has to complement your guests.
Sure.
I also have a place in Clearwater Beach, Florida, and that's on a very busy street. So we're really catering a lot to passerbyers. We get a lot of walk ups, a lot of 1 day reservations. So we might have smaller rooms to accommodate more people. We have a lot of single beds and not double beds because we're not actually targeting the families here. We're targeting
Mm.
maybe somebody who's here on business or a truck driver that wants a really comfortable place to stay. And then we are opening up in North Carolina, Maggie Valley, North Carolina, near Asheville. And that's a totally different experience and a different clientele. It's going to be more family oriented, but you need to research your markets. So a lot of motorists go there as well. A lot of arts festivals happen in the area. So it's a combination of location and the events and the attractions and who you're looking to target.
I love that. And so you've got the three. This third one opening soon. Is the plan to continue to expand that portfolio and buy
Absolutely,
more?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and diversify your investments as well. So I'm not looking to buy another hotel anytime soon. I'd rather we're looking at land development, new construction. We purchased some land in Central Florida, and we're working with a construction company to develop affordable housing
Oh, wow.
there. Yeah, homes go under like $300,000, brand new
Okay.
construction, which is very affordable for the Florida market. So my
Yeah.
advice too is to you should diversify your investments. I wouldn't just have all houses anywhere. I wouldn't just have hotels. I think it's important to stay diversified.
What do you think is like, based on your expert opinion, what's the next big thing for real estate as we come into, there's a new administration coming in, I think you see it right now, the markets are really rebounding pretty nicely. I think the economy is starting to feel like it's coming back. So what are you seeing on the trends that are, that you're paying attention to relative to real estate for 25 and 26?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think this has been a very odd year. I think a lot of people are still sitting on the sidelines. People aren't listing their houses, people aren't moving. The age that people are purchasing, they're purchasing much later in life.
Yep.
I do think that'll come down, but I think it's going to take a couple of years. Us personally, we're looking into EB5 projects, which actually involve getting foreign money to invest in
Mm,
your projects and helping them in exchange they will get a green card, so they're investing in the economy and helping us build jobs. I
okay.
think that will increase with the Trump administration because they're going to have stricter regulations with internationals coming here, and it's
Yep.
a simpler way for internationals to invest in our economy and get their green card. So that's kind of what we're looking at. But I do hope that we start to see more action. It's been a pretty sleepy housing market in general.
Is is the future for you guys always going to be in the housing space or in the hotel space, or do you think you'll venture into commercial or mixed use kind of opportunities?
Yeah, I think we will be venturing into the commercial and mixed use opportunities. I always just you should always diversify your investments. Like think of it how you would like if you're working in the stock market.
Yep.
You're not going to put all your eggs in Apple stock. So
I love that. And well, one of my good friends is Joe Williams, one of the founders of Keller Williams. And, I know for him, one of the things that he says, his rule is, looking for opportunities that are, that may not make sense today, but make sense in the future, right? Getting out ahead of that, that future curve. And, he's accumulated obviously a crazy amount of wealth doing what he's done. But the thing that he likes is he's like, when we spend time, we'll go have lunch and, enjoy some barbecue together. And he'll be like, yeah, it's just, it's great to look at this company and what we've done with it. It's fantastic. But I really, that doesn't thrill me as much as the deal, right? Finding that one little needle in a haystack deal that really, you could just see his eyes just light up, much like yours, right? When you're
mhm.
talking about your business and the enthusiasm for it. And it's that thrill of the chase and the hunt, and and then being able to do something with it. I know for him, he's moved more on the commercial side, but he just loves trying to find areas of opportunity that nobody else is looking for.
Yeah, that's a key to success right there.
I love that. So let me, tell us a little bit more about the 10-minute mogul. I mean, I want to know, like, I have to imagine between you and Adam that this is probably your genius of putting this thing together, because it seems like a social something that people can learn about on the website and through social media hooks, but that literally 10 minutes invested a day can get you on a new career path. So tell us about that.
Yeah, and it's funny. A lot of people say that they for their second life they want to become Adam because he just is that type of guy where you'll see like laying in the hammock reading a book.
Uh-huh.
He really does live that 10-minute mogul philosophy, but it's really prioritizing your time so you could focus on the high impact activities and finding your network to outsource the rest.
Yep.
And that's really what we teach people because real estate, like what you said, to get into it sounds like a very big idea.
Yeah.
So we really try to break down the simplicity of it, as simple as spending that 10 minutes on the phone with brokers, spending that 10 minutes checking your emails for the listings, spending those 10 minutes to interview contractors. So we've broken down the steps that you would need to get started in real estate investing, or if you're a little more seasoned, into more simpler action steps. And that's really how I live my life. I'm constantly setting 10-minute timers for myself. Um, so I really stay hyper focused and prioritize my time and tasks. And I know what I should do first thing in the morning, which are my high impact activities. And I
Yep.
know like after lunch is when I'm going to do things like maybe even more personal items, like when I'll book my daughter's birthday party or I'll read, I'll scan, then I'll check my emails. Then, I'll respond to things that have been on the back burner.
I love that. What is one thing, one tip that you might offer to the audience that if they just invested their time and focus in 10 minutes on that one thing, it could change and have that ripple effect in other capacities of their life or their work?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question. I would say we have a test on the website, on the 10-minute mogul website, to find your power profile. So if you're not really sure what you're good at, I think it's important to kind of, it helps people kind of discover their power profile.
Yeah.
And then for the items that you're not good at, I would spend 10 minutes a day researching that. And if it's analytics, if it's numbers, I would pick up some books because I'm not great with numbers. So now I read more and more investment books.
Yeah.
And that would really be my first piece of advice is really to know your strengths and know your weaknesses and try to fill those weaknesses either through education or through the right network.
I think what I love about that is you may not necessarily have a specific skill set or experience, but you've gone out and educated yourself. You don't wait for things to just materialize, but you've spent the time to put that investment towards educating yourself so that you know how to navigate that. Like you said, maybe the numbers or the financial aspects may not be the strength, and I know it wouldn't be for me, but in order to get comfortable and understand it, you have to know that business like the inside of your hand. So figuring out how to educate yourself, waiting for, not waiting for things to just materialize and happen, but literally being able to anticipate what needs to take place and ultimately how to avoid some of those pitfalls and problems that you might experience and maximize some of the opportunities that are before you.
Exactly. And I'm not saying this like I would ever do my own accounting and to,
Yeah.
read a book about accounting, but that's how I've been able to over the years find the best accountant for us because at least I had enough knowledge to sniff out, the good people versus, the not so good ones.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. What do you think I could talk to you all day, but I want to be respectful of your time. The thing that I've got a couple of burning questions, some ripple questions, but the one that I want to ask you just, to get your kind of take on this is we get a lot of women that are fans of the show and a lot of them that want to be entrepreneurs, but they're really not sure how to, get that thing going. And real estate to me sounds like an opportunity for them to maybe explore that. What's one suggestion or book that you might recommend that they, either a course or a book other than, just the 10-minute mogul, which we're going to put a link up so that everybody, make sure to sign up and get that. But is there anything that you'd recommend that they try as kind of that next step,
Yeah,
just to explore?
I would go on to like local meetup groups and I would
Okay.
go local meetup groups, local conferences, your local Facebook groups have
Sure.
real estate groups in them. And I would go from there and just try to meet some partners, try to build your own network. And I'm sure at first this network's not going to be great, but it'll get you going.
Yeah.
Your first partner might not be the best one, but it'll get you going.
Well, and based on your experience, I mean, I know one of the hesitancies that I think a lot of our audience might have about looking at this as an avenue to explore is you got to think you got to have big, stacks of cash, lots of capital in order to make that, that leap into the real estate space. Is that true, or is it, are there programs or opportunities out there to be able to get yourself going without, consuming like your entire retirement portfolio to get going?
So this is a whole other podcast episode. You don't need money to invest in real estate. There are so many ways. We have this guy, Johnny Jepson. He has bought like hundreds of houses, not putting any money into it. He talks direct to the sellers and tries to get to the root reason why somebody is selling.
Yeah.
It could be something as like really they have like a $40,000 medical bill due, and they just don't have it. So like he's the type of person that'll be like, okay, I'll give you $40,000. He'll pull it out of his credit card, um, and give that person the money, and he takes over the house and lets the person still live there but pays rent. So there's so many
Yeah.
creative strategies. What's important is finding the deal. So what your friend says at Keller Williams,
Yeah.
they were
Yep.
at Keller
Yep.
Williams. It's if you have a good deal, the money will follow. You could start forming those relationships with banks and mortgage brokers, and there's also a lot of private money lenders that they might want 10% interest rates. So if the numbers make sense, though, you could also tap into private money lenders, and you could also join Facebook groups. There's tons of private money Facebook groups as well that can help get you through the door.
I mean, the underlying theme here for everybody that's watching or going to hear this on the podcast platforms that Randi is giving is build your network, build those relationships, create those positive ripples because they will come back and pay off dividends. But you got to invest your time and energy in, not only educating yourself, but putting yourself in these environments where you can find these collaborators and potential partners. I love that. I love that. Randi, I'm going to shift to a few more Ripple connection questions just to give people a sense of who you are. What did the 7-year-old Randi want to be when she grew up?
I always wanted to be a journalist. Um,
Really? Okay.
yeah, I liked writing a lot, and I liked broadcast journalism, but it taught me to find facts and how to communicate.
I love that. Do you still like do you scratch that itch at all these days with what you do or no?
No, not as much. I mean, I get to write when I write my like website copy and audience development. That's when I
Yep.
find and playbooks. I write a lot of. I call them playbooks, our standard operating
I love
procedures.
it. How did you get into the web business when you first got into that? What was it about that really attracted you to help companies and work with some like you mentioned some very well known people?
Yeah, that's funny. I was an intern at Women's Health Magazine in New York City. And I remember somebody was like, "Yeah, we need somebody to move into like this department." And I was like, okay, I know like enough about websites. I was young back then. I was familiar with it. So they like moved me into that department. Um, and at first I was so unhappy because I wanted to be a journalist, a
Yeah.
more like print journalist. And it was actually the best transition in my entire life. It made me see things differently. Web development, you can tell stories in so many different ways. You can market something in so many
Yeah.
different ways more dynamically than being on print. So that's how I got into
I
web.
love that. And when you think about like what your superpower is, what would you say that, that skill or, that part of your genius, what is that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So my power profile, I like to call it, is manager. I'm good at taking complex situations and teams and delegating and coming up with the right systems.
Love that. You mentioned earlier, you really, it really warms your heart to see the reviews that you get from the hotels when they come in. What's the best thing someone that stayed at one of your properties or done a deal with you or has just, been a colleague or a good friend? What would be the best thing you could hear somebody say about you and your work?
Yeah. This is actually a huge ripple effect. When we opened our second hotel and it was becoming pretty overwhelming to self manage, we found a property manager, and she agreed to take us on. She had like her own team, and I could kind of see right away. I actually compare a network to like watering a plant,
Hmm.
and you can then see it grow, and then it gives you oxygen in return. So I was seeing reaping those benefits from her. We had hired her, and operations started to run way more smoothly. But she, as a result, she really wanted to buy her next hotel. So we actually then bought this third hotel with her,
Oh, that's awesome.
as a partnership. So, and she's like, gosh, thank you so much. I always wanted to, like, so forming that relationship and helping her be able to then purchase her first hotel, but having her to become our property manager, it was a great connection, and it made me feel great because we helped her, and she feels great. She's helped us. So.
Ah, I love that. That's a great story. What is the one thing that most people would be surprised to learn about what you do for a living?
Oh, that's a good question. What's funny? It's like I've done it all. So like I'm not. You might see me and I'll look like I'm the janitor. Because I'm the kind of person. If I walk into one of my properties, I'll stop whatever I'm doing and
Yeah,
start cleaning like the windows. You know what
yeah.
I mean? Like, so I think that's kind of like an interesting fact about me. I'm not afraid to like get down and dirty. So
You're a good entrepreneur in that regard. I mean, that the best entrepreneurs I know. I mean, they may be leading a meeting one minute and taking out the trash the next, right?
exactly, that
I
is
think
me.
that you and I definitely have that in common. What is the best thing working with Adam? Your husband.
Yeah, we work amazing together. I think it's nice because I think actually professional development and personal development go hand in hand.
Yep.
So we have that mutual understanding of like, I know if we've had a great day, I know if we've had a rough day professionally. So it helps with our personal life, and
Yep.
we're just as organized in our personal life, and we've developed like playbooks for even our personal life,
That's
and
awesome.
we kind of run our personal life like how we do our professional life now at this
Yeah.
point.
Oh, that's great. For someone that's out there that might be thinking about, hey, maybe this is a path I want to go. Maybe this is something I can do with my spouse or significant other. What cautionary tale might you give about working with your romantic partner in a business sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I think having like separate time together too, because we'll be together so much.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to set time aside to have, separate lives, and then also set time aside to have a date night,
Yeah.
where you do not talk about work whatsoever. Work is off the table.
That's good. That's great advice. I mentioned earlier we have a lot of women that are either running their own thing or considering running their own thing. What advice would you give to those female entrepreneurs or one-upreneurs that are out there?
Um, I often find that I'm not always taken seriously. So I've had to
That's
develop over.
legitimately hard to believe. I mean, you are a rock star.
Thank you. I don't know. Some people have a hard time taking advice from women. I don't know if it's somehow how somebody was raised. I mean, just sometimes I am not always taken seriously. So
Yeah.
my advice is to really not get discouraged about it. You need to really learn how to tap into people. You need to learn what's motivating somebody, and what their driver is, and always approach that person, with that matter. So you have to nurture every relationship and get into their psyche a little bit in order to
Yeah.
fully communicate and be able to hit like that person over the head.
I like that. I like that a lot. If you were given an opportunity to put a message on a billboard that everybody saw on the way into work or on their way home at night, what would your advice be that would be on the billboard?
Oh my God. Well, professionally, it would be what the Keller Williams guy is like. Call me if you have a deal. Call me, because it's all about the deal.
Yeah.
I don't really, but honestly, I would put like be kind to people. I think that's like, the simple manners is like, and showing kindness, I think is so important. So really, I would put like be kind
I
to people.
love that. I love that. Um, Last couple of questions. You kind of touched on this at the very beginning, but maybe just explain one more time for us. When you hear the term ripple effect, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I think of like every small action has reactions. And being kind to somebody, karma, I think everything does have that ripple effect and it eventually comes back to you also.
Yep, absolutely. 100% agree. And what ripple can I be looking to create for you?
Doing this was a ripple enough for me. Being on this podcast, I'm completely honored. Thank you so much, Steve.
Oh, yeah, the honor is all mine. I'm such a huge fan of yours. I mean, you are a really kick-ass person, and I'm so grateful to know you. I hope we can continue, maybe, even without recording, just, maybe, syncing up on, Zoom, from time to time. And there's people that come into your life that, and I mentioned this in your intro, that you don't know where or why they're there, but you'll never know if you don't explore it and continue to pursue it. And even though, we haven't actually met in person or been face to face on a call, the you provide so much value out there in the world, and I'm just so grateful that we've been able to stay in contact all this time. So before I let you go, tell everybody how they can learn more about what you're doing with the 10-minute mogul. Anything that you'd like to share in terms of links, websites, maybe your properties that they might want to check out and come stay at.
Yeah, you can go to 10minutemogul.com. It has links to everything on there.
Perfect.
You follow me on Instagram too at Randi Zucker.
Okay, cool. And the properties, you have
Yeah.
websites for
Um,
those?
yes, Isla Palma, Singer Island, um, Palm Cove Motel, and Stay Three Pines.
Nice. And that one in North Carolina is opening when?
It's opening soon. We did get hit with two hurricanes
Yeah.
over there.
When you said Asheville, I was like, oh gosh.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
yeah, we're Western North Carolina area, so Maggie Valley got hit really bad. We will need your tourism. That whole town is suffering.
Yeah.
So, I suggest people should go there right now, even though I'm not open, because they're
Yeah.
great people over there. There's a lot to do. You're right next to the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Yeah, it's believe it or not, we've had, because I'm in Austin. Where are you today? Like where do you
I'm
live?
in Boca Raton,
Okay.
Florida.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was Florida. I think when we originally met, you were in New York, right?
Hmm.
At the time. Yeah.
Yes.
So, but we've had a lot of people leaving Austin to go to North Carolina. In fact, one of our Ripplers moved to Asheville literally about 14 days before the hurricane hit, right? Just closed on the house and then got wiped out. It was just horrible. So I agree with you. And the more money we can pour into that environment from a tourist perspective, I think is really, really needed. And they're open. I mean, there's places that are, that they're recovering pretty quickly, but at the same time, they definitely need our help for sure. So great reminder there for sure. Well, I am so grateful for the time today. I can't wait for our next conversation, but thank you so much for being a part of this. And,
Yes. Thank you.
you continue to inspire and motivate, and you are inspiring me to definitely want to maybe dip my toe in the real estate water. So I will
Give me
let
a
you know
call.
how
I'm here
this
anytime
starts to
for
evolve.
advice.
What's
Yeah.
that?
If you need any advice, you can even call me on speed dial.
I greatly, greatly appreciate that so much. Well, guys, we'll be back again with another episode of the Ripple Effect podcast. But until then, Randy, ripple on.